addressing you all. I miss you. I can't wait to see you at all the different functions that we do. It's exciting. Finally, 2021 after a crazy 2020 that has really, it's been tough, but it has really also personally taught me the importance of taking care of my health, taking care of my loved ones, because this is the time where we really need each other. And it also has taught us the importance of that personal communication and seeing each other. So I'm just very happy to see everyone and each of you. Terra members have a very special place in my heart because you inspire me with your vitality, with your commitment to the labor movement, and for always, always leading by example. Every time that I feel tired, I always think of you because you show up no matter what. I especially want to thank each and every one of you because of the work that you did in the 2020 elections. From writing postcards to doing phone banking to working, some of y'all work as poll workers. Y'all did so many activities to make sure that everybody voted. And, it is because of you that I was inspired. And I also worked as a poll worker for the very first time. And it is not an easy job. So I want to thank you all for inspiring me to being a poll worker and to really go through that process and the importance of us to be poll workers. It was just really something special to be able to see so many young people voting for the first time, so many newly US citizens who many of them we helped at our citizenship clinics voting for the first time. It was really exciting. So thank you for leading by example always. We didn't flip the House, the Texas House, like we wanted to, but you know what? We elected our very President-elect Joe Biden and our first Black woman Vice President Kamala Harris. And that, my friends, it's so inspiring and so emotional because when I saw her speech, it just reminded me of the beautiful country that we have and the opportunities that we have to make sure that we have a democracy for all of us. So very, very excited about that. And we get to see the light at the end of the tunnel with electing President Biden. And, we have 10 days until the inauguration and we're counting the days every day, right? And, the events that happened on Wednesday in DC were heartbreaking and they were outrageous, right? I think watching the news on Wednesday and seeing the national terrorists that took our Capitol and that actually got out of the Capitol like nothing had happened, right? It's outrageous. And it really reminded me that racism is really alive in our communities. And it's something that we as people of color live it every single day. On Wednesday, I was watching the news and I kept thinking 10 years ago when I went with a bunch of dreamers and we went to the Capitol and we did civil disobedience, but they were 15-year-old kids who were undocumented and we were treated like criminals. Our belongings were scrutinized. We saw the police officers with their gear and it was very intimidating. And to see the images on Wednesday really were heartbreaking and outrageous. I felt so mad. And one of the things that gives me hope is that one of the initiatives that Rick and I started is our Racial Justice Task Force. And actually, the day after we met for one of our meetings. And that is something that gives me hope because we're meeting and we're putting together different resolutions that we're going to be sharing with you all during our convention. And that gives me hope that we at the Texas AFL-CIO are proactive, and we're not going to be intimidated by these racist people that think that they can take over our countries and our country and our communities. We're fighting back. And we put out a statement. Rick and I put a statement condemning this outrageous attack. Because you know what, at the end of the day, the labor movement is going to fight like hell for our members and for our communities. And that work I'm very proud of. And of course, leading that work with Rick, who is an amazing leader, a good friend, a good mentor, is very inspiring. I'm also really excited about our climate justice work. We started really thinking to make sure, right? We often say that if we're not at the table, then we're the menu, right? And one of the things that we're doing is we're putting together this task force about climate justice, because we know that global warming is real, and that one of the things that we need to take care of is our climate, and we need to be engaged in those important conversations to make sure that labor is at the top, because we know that there's a lot of different jobs coming up, and we got to make sure that they're good labor jobs, and that people are being respected when these changes come out. Just on Tuesday, we're gonna be rolling out, we're rolling out our sleeves, and we're the 87th legislative session starts on Tuesday, as many of you know. And this is gonna be a very different legislative session, right? We have COVID, what we are seeing on Tuesday, they're gonna be voting on how the legislative session is gonna be. And because we know that we didn't flip the House, we know that we're gonna have a Speaker of the House that is not a friend of labor, right? So we gotta organize, and we gotta make sure that the voices of the working people of Texas are at the table. And we're excited. We're starting to meet with our United Labor Legislative Committee, which Eric it was part of it and led it through so many years. And I was always just, I would watch Eric lead it with so much passion and integrity. And we're gonna miss him, but I'm sure we're gonna be calling you, Eric, for help. But that's the work that we're doing. So whether we're with our legislative agenda or fair shot agenda, we're gonna be focusing on COVID, right? And what does that mean in our communities? Because one of the things that we saw with COVID is that it's affecting the working people the most. And you and I know that frontline workers have always made sure that our country runs. And all those invisible faces that for many years have been for the others, we know those faces. We know the people that work in the classrooms, the people that work in the airports, the people that work in the buses. We know the people that work at the airport. And they are the ones that run our communities every single day. And it is our duty to make sure that they have good health care. It is our duty that they don't get paid just this minimum wage of $7.25, right? We gotta make sure that their voices are at the table, and we're gonna be, again, advocating for them. We're gonna be doing things a little bit different, because we wanna make sure, we wanna see how we're gonna be able to have hearings. We might not be able to go to the Capitol and have hearings and have people testify like we usually do. So we are with our team, with Lorraine, Jeff, Mark, Ed, we're all thinking of different ways to really have those voices at the Capitol. And how do we connect the stories of our members? How do we share those stories with the legislators? So we're really thinking about how to do that in a virtual way that is safe. Because at the end of the day, we know that if those voices and those stories are not shared with legislators, they take us for granted. And we gotta make sure that we hold them accountable and we let them know what we want. So that's what we're gonna be working. And one of the things that we have right now, we have our survey that we're starting to launch with everybody, and I'm gonna put the link in the chat because we want to make sure that everybody fills it out and gives us your point of view in what are the issues that are important to you, and we want to gather some data from there so we can move forward. So I put it in the chat, and I hope to hear from you because your stories are really important. Even if you're retired, right? You still know exactly what those stories and the importance of having good healthcare, why that is important, how that affects you every day. One of the things, just this morning, I volunteer here in Travis County in the first clinic where they gave the COVID-19 vaccine. And, you know, just to share with you, my mother is 68 years old. She has diabetes. And for the past 2 weeks, we have been calling her provider and they don't know when she's gonna get this vaccine. And I know that, you know, my mother is a nanny and she doesn't have health insurance, and it's something that hurts me because she's worked so hard. But I know that many people like her, many retirees don't have good health care and they have not been able to get the COVID-19 vaccine. So we're pushing, we're calling and identifying and really letting elected officials know that it's unacceptable the way that the distribution of the COVID-19 vaccines are taking place, because it's not, they're the people that are supposed to be getting them are not getting them, right? We have our schools where teachers are being asked in some places of the state, they're being asked to go back to teach. Custodians are working right now, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, and they don't have access to the COVID-19 vaccine. And that, my friends, is unacceptable. And that is something that we're working together to make sure that those stories and those voices are heard at the Capitol with the legislators. So that's something that we're working really hard. We have a lot of work to do, no doubt. We are thinking very strategically on how to go about this, but we know that we need fully funded neighborhood schools, we need better wages, and we need to expand the benefits of the working people of Texas. The healthcare, it's a big issue. State and school and city employees also need to get they need to get the vaccines, but also need to have better pensions. So we have a full plate, no doubt about that. And I think at the end of the day, the reason that we're able to do so much is because we're organizing, and you more than anybody know the importance of that. And we really need to hear from you and learn from you. And that is something that I really take a lot of pride in, listening to your stories, in learning from you, because you give us a really good example of what is possible. I also want to give a shout out to the people that helped with the census. We know redistricting is coming, and the people that were census ambassadors, thank you all. Thank you for volunteering. Thank you for being with us every Wednesday for almost 3.5 months, calling people so they could make sure to fill out their census, because that fight is still on, because you know we are trying to figure out how would that work, because the President Trump didn't want to count certain communities. So that's something that I wanted to thank you all for really becoming a census ambassador. Jan and Chris and everybody, Eric, thank you for all of y'all, and Tony for really helping with that. And then also, I really want to give a special shout out to all of you who have really supported our citizenship campaign. And Andy, when we went to Corpus, Elaine, all of you all in Corpus really helped out a lot, stepped up, and really helped us do the citizenship clinics where we're helping eligible permanent residents apply to become US citizens. And that is one of the campaigns that I am really proud, because I was able to see many of our union sisters and brothers go through the whole process of becoming US citizens, and they voted for the very first time in this election. And that is the beauty of our labor movement, to be able to see the transformation of being an eligible permanent resident to casting their vote to seeing change is one of the things that I am the most proud and the most happy about the labor movement, because the labor movement has transformed my life. And that's why I want to make sure that everybody knows that when you become a union member, your life changes, and that you can change and empower others to do the same. So I thank every one of you for the time, for the commitment, for the example that you set for us and me not so young, of what is possible. And with that, I thank you all. I don't want to speak forever and ever, but I tell you that my words come from the heart, and I'm just very grateful to be part of the labor movement. And I'm grateful for every one of you, and I hope to see you very soon so I can give you a hug and thank you in person. Thank you, Jean, and thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Motsi. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much, Monsi. We really appreciate it, and we in Tara appreciate labor. Labor is something that has always had our back, and we pledge always to have the back of organized labor. At this time, I wanted to thank some of our major contributors, which include quite a few folks in the labor movement. I want to thank Ruben Garza of the Steelworkers Union. There's someone who's always supported Tara. And Claude Cummings of the Communication Workers of America. I want to also thank Ron Smitherman of the Texas Building Trades Council. We appreciate their support. And also Johnny Rodriguez of the United Food and Commercial Workers Local 540. We appreciate them. And also, last but by no means least, Rick Levy of the Texas AFL-CIO. The support from labor has been critical, the Tara's support, and it's something that we want to build upon and continue, because what we're facing, one of the things, I'm not sure anyone mentioned it yet, but not only did we successfully elect President Joe Biden, we also flipped Georgia. We have Senator Raphael Warnock and Senator John Ossoff, which has given the Democrats control of the U.S. Senate and gives us a chance to try to achieve some significant advances to improve the lives of working people in America. So this is also provides a model for what we could potentially do here in Texas. If you can flip Georgia, then it's probably possible to flip Texas as well.
Yes, yes.
Let's try to flip the governor and the Ted Cruz and Ken Paxton as well.
Yes.
That's our first big opportunity, Chris. I think that's great. That's what we need to be focused right now over the next couple of years. At this time, I'd like to ask if anyone has any questions for Monsi while she's here. Please, kind of raise your hand or indicate that if you have a question for Monsi. Go ahead, Tony.
Kenneth, before we move on to that, I want to recognize Byron Williams from the IAM from the Machinists Union. He has been giving us support for many years. Every year they come up and give us uh, money, as well as the national office. Bob Martinez was estimated to be with us today. He gave us a big amount last year, and I
Oh,
just
wow.
sent him the new request, and we still have money for Judy for this 2021. So I want to thank you. If you want to say a few words, Byron, I'd appreciate it. Can you unmute yourself?
Good evening. I appreciate it, and it's been an honor and privilege, and congratulations, Montserrat, for the honoree, and President Williams and President Padilla for allowing me to be on this call. Again, it's an honor to be represented with such a fine group, and the work that you do, trying to protect, as you said earlier, the retirees of now and then, and blessings for retirees of the future, and the work that your tireless effort works that you do to protect those rights are insurmountable for the working class of Americans in general. And I look forward, and on behalf of Bob Martinez and the Texas State Council, it is an honor to be working with you, and look forward to continue working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Byron. Go
Thank you,
ahead.
Byron.
Anybody? Go ahead, Kenneth.
Oh, certainly. Okay, at this time, if anyone has any questions that we can, now we have Montserrat here, and she can share this. Please raise your hand, and we'll go ahead and go ahead, Chris. Yes.
Monty,
Yes, Chris.
what has happened in the last few weeks to get the control of the Senate is going to make a huge difference for what we can do for the children along the border that are still in those detention centers. We're going to save lives by being able to do what our democracy has allowed us to do.
For sure. Yes.
Yes.
And also, I think yesterday we had the President-elect Biden named the Marty. I just went blank with his last name. Marty, the new labor secretary. Sorry, I just went blank.
Walsh.
Yeah, Marty Walsh. He is gonna be the labor, the labor
Secretary of Labor.
Secretary of Labor,